Mortise and tenon joints come in several types, but they all consist of a recess cut into the mortise board and a tenon cut in the other board. The mortise and the matching tenon are brought together to fit in snugly. Follow the simple technique to make a common mortise and tenon joint. Step 1. Cut the wooden pieces to the requisite size. Select and mark the face side and edge. Step 2. Select the tenon member. Measure the tenon length from the edge of one end of the piece and scribe the shoulder lines around all the edges with a marking knife. Remember, the length of the tenon is usually only about 2/3 of the width of the tenon member. Step 3. Mark the width of the mortise using the tenon member as a guide. Mark the position of the mortise on the edge of the mortise member and scribe the shoulder lines around all the edges with a marking knife. Step 4. Set the pins of a mortise gauge to the width and scribe a line for the mortise against the face side. Position it in the center and scribe the gauge lines between the width marks on both edges. Using the same setting, mark the tenon with the mortise gauge. Working from the face side, scribe the lines from the shoulder lines on one edge, over the end and back down to the shoulder line on the other end. This will determine the thickness of the tongue. Step 5. Clamp the tenon member to the workbench using a G-clamp. Start cutting with a hand saw, inside on the waist side of the shoulder line. Reset the tenon member, cut down the other side. Secure the tenon member to the bench vise and start cutting both the sides of the tenon all the way to the depth line. While cutting, take care not to overrun. Step 6. Clamp the mortise member to the workbench using a G-clamp. Use a mortise chisel to start the cut in the middle. Then use a bevel edge chisel for the side cuts. Keep the combination of these two. Chisel down halfway through the mortise hole and clear out all debris from inside the mortise to leave a clean hole. Reset the workpiece to the other side. Chop out the waste in the same way till you meet the cutout from the other side. Step 7. Place the tenon over the mortise and mark the width of the tenon. Scribe a line with a marking gauge on both the sides. Fix the tenon member to the bench vise and start cutting the side of the tenon to the required size of the mortise with a hand saw. Reset the member sideways and cut out from the side's edge. And your tenon member is ready. Step 8. Fit the tenon into the mortise to see if they fit snugly. If required, trim it further until the two pieces fit perfectly together. Step 9. Once satisfied, apply wood glue to the tenon and inside the mortise and join the pieces. Lightly tap with a mallet to align it and wipe away any excess glue with a damp cloth. Clamp it together on a T-bar clamp until the glue dries. This completes the procedure of a common mortise and tenon joint. Let's quickly look at the procedure once again. Step 1. Square the wooden piece and select the face side and edge. Step 2. Measure and mark the tenon. Step 3. Measure and mark the mortise. Step 4. Gouge a line for the mortise and tenon width. Step 5. Clamp the wooden piece and cut out the tenon. Step 6. Support the wooden piece to make the mortise. Step 7. Refine the tenon to the width of the mortise. Step 8. Dry fit the joint and apply glue. Step 9. Apply wood glue to the tenon and inside the mortise and join the pieces.